Let's go. Today I made $501 as a beginner trader, and you can do it too if you really want to. If I can do it, you can do it. As you can see for these trade breakdowns, I took 2 trades today. My first trade was a $300 loss. My second trade was an $800 win. So this week I changed up only one single thing that I have not been focusing on for the past probably month or so. And for the past month, I've been pretty close to being profitable, but the results just weren't completely there. I would have obviously like green days, and then these red days would mix in, and it'd kind of dilute my P&Ls for the week. And this week, I feel like I was able to refine my targets and my entries, and it's making a really big difference in my trading and the way I read market structure. And so that's just one thing that I really want to point out is that as a beginner trader, you can't stop trying new things. And I'm not saying you have to change up your whole entire strategy or you need to do something completely different or it didn't work one time and so you need to go try a different strategy, but you need to keep tweaking and refining what you already do to find some kind of edge in this market, because you never know what it's going to be. I think for everybody it's different. Somebody could be risk management, it could be discipline. Just tweaking one rule that you have to follow, or one entry target, or one check mark before you enter a trade could be the game changer for everything. Let's go check out the trades for today, because I don't even really want to focus on the trading that much. I mean, it's the same every single day essentially, but the only reason I really go over these is to ingrain in my brain the mistakes that I made and what I'm doing right and what patterns I need to keep an eye out for, or something that happens to me often, common losers. I don't know. I make these videos for myself. This is my journaling. And I think that's the whole point of journaling, and that's where maybe a lot of people don't understand why so many people preach to journal. It's because it's not necessarily that you're writing about your day, it's that you're reviewing your day and you're ingraining in your mind you need to change something. Or if something went right, you're ingraining in your mind that, oh, this pattern worked really well this week twice in a row. So for the third time, you're going to remember, and you're not even going to need to go back and review these trades. That's why I go over this stuff every day. It's because I'm not trying to teach anybody but myself. And so today was another simple trade. It followed the pattern that I've been chasing all week. Monday was a perfect trade setup. I was hesitant on my entry, and so I missed it, and I missed the whole entire move. It would have been $1,000 play though. Tuesday, same exact thing. Great play, hesitant on my entry again, so it wasn't as big of a P&L as it should have been, but it was a green day, and today worked out nearly the same. I had a loser at the beginning, but my bias didn't really waver. I took this short this week, or not this week, but I took this short this morning, and it was simply because price was just ranging in this awkward zone, and we had these Asia lows down here that ES had swept out and NASDAQ had not swept out, and it didn't really, we've been pushing up so much that there was hardly any pullbacks. And so once price kind of broke market structure to the downside this morning, right in my sweet zone of around 7 a.m. to like 7:30 to take a trade, I saw a trade present itself for a short, and I was just going to target these Asia lows because I didn't know exactly what price was going to do or how price was going to react off those Asia lows. But in the meantime, I could have made $600 off this play and been done for the day and could have called it a green day. So we were breaking market structure to the downside, and I think, let's see, maybe on the 5-minute we had clean fair value gap. So on this 5-minute, we printed this clean fair value gap right here, and it was, so we broke market structure to the downside, clean fair value gap, retested it, rejected off of it, and I entered short with stop loss above these highs right here, and I was only targeting these Asia lows. It was a 1.23 risk to reward, and it wasn't. I only entered with 3 contracts because I wasn't super confident. These lows didn't have to get taken out. It was just me reading the markets in the moment on a low time frame, because the 5-minute really wasn't giving us anything. There was hardly any movement this morning. It was really slow. And so I went down to the 1 minute just to try to find a trade, because I'm also trying to force this eval to either pass or fail, because at this point I've been kind of spending a little bit too much time trying to pass the eval section when I could have just upscaled. And I've had multiple green days that if I just went for it, then I'd be past the eval section and I could start focusing on my risk management. But anyways, trade was going our way. It looked really good. It was a clean setup. And the only thing that was going against us is that we were trading against the trend. And that's probably one of the bigger rules that I could follow. But once again, I wasn't really trying to short the market to the fucking lows. I was just trying to aim for these Asia lows, which were, it seemed like an obvious draw on liquidity. And it seemed like the market needed something higher or like heavier to react off of. And so I took that trade. I went for it. I took a loser. At this point, this fair value gap I was initially playing it to be respected in order to continue the downtrend that the price was in, to target these Asia lows. And so when I got this rejection, I'm pretty sure I scaled down to the 1 minute and found an entry on like another inverse or break of structure to the downside. And I entered off that because we were respecting this gap. And so that was my bias for the downside. And then once I got stopped out and we broke structure to the upside through this same exact gap, then I wanted to find an entry within this gap after it had inversed to target these major 4-hour highs from way back when we had this big drop down in price. So we had these 4-hour highs and these previous AM highs from like a week ago. ES had already taken those draws out, so it seemed kind of obvious that was the next move for NASDAQ. I just didn't know if we were going to have a retrace before that or if we were just going to go for it this morning. And so I was prepared to take these longs and target these highs. And that's exactly what price presented me with. This fair value gap got inversed, and then immediately after, on the next 2 5-minute candles, we came down and retested that same exact inversion box. And in the middle of this box, I'm pretty sure I went 2 contracts long, and I put my stop losses right below this candle right here, these lows, which was a perfect stop loss for NASDAQ, because this is the second time this week that NASDAQ has wicked pretty low below the inversion boxes. So if you have a tight stop loss right below these inversion boxes, then I would have got stopped out. And that happened the other day too. So I'm really glad that I put my stop loss a little bit deeper just to give me a little more room. And then I marked out this like leading gap, fair value gap on the 1 minute. And I was simply just waiting for a break of structure on that 1 minute gap. And on this candle right here, we broke above that gap, had a candle closure. I entered 3 more contracts to make it a full size of 5. Even after that gap break, we had a perfect retest of this inversion box too. Candle closure above it, wick below it. And after that, set my first targets to this high, which I sold 4 contracts at this high, and then I just saved 1 for the higher play, just because it felt like it was high likelihood that price was going to go up there. Stop loss was at break even at that point, and I made $800 off that one single play. A plus setup. I wouldn't call it A plus setup. I'll call it an A setup, because I don't like how much this 5 minute was being tested before breaking above it. But yeah, it was a good move, and there's opportunities all week for this, and so I'm super satisfied with my trading. The only thing that I changed this week, as opposed to all the other weeks, is I'm paying very close attention to this ICT kill zone indicator, which is simply just labeling the highs and the lows of each market session before I enter my trade at market open. So I mark out London highs. I mark out any sweep of liquidity that has not been touched yet for potential targets and for potential draws on liquidity for price to react off of at market open right before I'm ready to trade between 6:45 and 7:30. And so I mark out London highs, I mark out London lows, I mark out these Asian lows, and it really just gives me a direction and mostly just a target of what I'm expecting price to do, and it gives me realistic expectations. Yeah, simply just having that setup this week has just made a really big difference, and I feel like every single day I've been able to read market. We have been just in a pretty steep uptrend this past few days, so it might be easy mode in a lot of ways, but I'm going to carry this confidence because I'm super proud of how this week is going. It was a good move today. We are now up 1.57K on this evaluation, and I need to get to 3K today again. I want to make 10 contracts my standard just so I could try to knock this out, but I only entered with 5 contracts today, so if I would have doubled that, I would have had a $1,600 winner, and it would have been about $1,300 on the day. So I need to start going for that on my A+ setups and just keep being consistent and just keep banging this out, because right now trading's feeling just really good and I'm psyched on it. Truthfully, I'm just making these videos to document my journey and to show you that you can hardly know anything about the markets, and if you put the time in and invest basically into just like free content on YouTube and pay for what you can for mentorships and to just study the markets and show up every single day to try and learn how to day trade, that you can do it too. And this could be life-changing. I'm not talking about quitting a career and making 6 figs every single year, but even if it's a few $1,000s every single month or $1,000 a month, an extra $2,000 every single month on top of your actual career, it could genuinely be life-changing, and it's a skill that you can carry with you forever for the rest of your life, and you can just keep growing it. And there's really just like no reason to me in my position why I can't spend more time trying to learn and more time just dedicating to this craft to try and make a difference in my life. So that's it for today. That's it for this week. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to trade Friday. I'm just going to wait till next week when markets are in a little bit better condition. So later, guys.